so we are learning about algebraic expressions. So first we have a few vocab words to look at. Algebra is just the branch of mathematics that contains symbols. So it's not just numbers, it's numbers and symbols. A variable is a letter that you're using to represent an unknown variable. Okay, so anytime that you don't know the number, you use a variable. And then we have an algebraic expression, which is an expression that contains at least one variable and at least one mathematical operation. Okay, so one variable in either adding, subtracting, multiplication, or division. And then we have what's called a coefficient, and that is the number that is in front of a variable. So if you look right here at this algebraic expression that I've written, so this whole thing is an algebraic expression because it has at least one variable and one mathematical operation. Okay? Those numbers are your coefficients, and coefficients are always directly right next to your variables without an operation in between. So just like this. And then, of course, your variables are those letters. Okay? So I've written down a few steps as to how to write an algebraic expression. So first you, of course, are going to read the words and figure out what's important. Okay? So you're not always going to be given exactly what you need. They're going to put some other information in there that you might not necessarily need. So you need to be able to pick out what's important. Once you do that, then you're going to define a variable. So like I said earlier, a variable is representing an unknown number. So if they are talking about the cost of shoes, you don't know how much those shoes cost. They're just telling you that there is a cost. So you're going to use a variable for that because you don't know the exact value. Okay. And then once you find your variable, you're simply going to write your expression using the important pieces plus your variable. Okay. So if you look at that first example, $3 more than the cost of a sandwich. So first thing is to figure out what's important. So this whole thing, for the most part, is important. $3 more than the cost of a sandwich. Do I know how much that sandwich cost? No. So I need to figure out what variable to use. Because I don't know the cost of a sandwich, that's why that's going to become a variable. And so I chose C just for cost. And you do know that sandwich, or it's $3 more than that sandwich. So more than means you're going to be adding. So that means I have 3 plus the cost of the sandwich, which is C. So 3 plus C is my expression. Okay? But, yes ma'am?
It says more than.
So that means that we need to switch them. Remember that than is a turnaround word that we talked about yesterday. So since 3 came first and C came last, really I need to switch these two. So that's what you need to write in. C plus 3. But if you're looking at it, so say that C is 1. So here I would have 3 plus 1, which gives me 4. Here I would have 1 plus 3, which gives me 4 as well, right? So when you're adding, it doesn't necessarily matter if you switch them, okay? Because you're still going to get the same answer. But when we're subtracting, that's when it really, really, really matters. And we're going to get to that on an example in the back, okay? So if you give me either one, I will count it correct. Just know that technically it's supposed to be switched around, okay? So you can just go ahead and get into the habit. Anytime that you see that than or that from, just go ahead and switch it, whether it's addition or subtraction. Okay. Questions on that example? Okay. Number 2, it says Mari had $2 and made $6 an hour babysitting. So I need to figure out what's important. So I know that she made $6 per hour, and she already had $2 in her pocket. Okay. So do I know how many hours she spent babysitting? No. I don't know how many hours. So that per hour, that's going to become a variable. Okay. Because if she's babysitting for 5 hours, then I can figure out how much money she has total. But right now, I don't know how many hours she's babysitting, so that's why it's going to become a variable. Okay. So when I put that together as an expression, that means I have 2 plus $6 per hour, so 6N. Okay. But this also, no, it doesn't have than. Oh yeah, it does. 2 more than. Right there. Okay. So really, this one should be 6N plus 2 as well. Questions on that? So in this case, I have 2 different operations. I'm adding and I'm multiplying. Okay. Good? All right, flip over to the back. All right, it says 2 miles less than the athlete ran. So do I know how far the athlete ran? No, I don't know how far. So what am I going to let that be?
Variable.
I'm going to let that be a variable. In this case, I chose A for athlete. Okay. So it was 2 miles less than the athlete. So what do we think about this? Right. We're going to subtract, and then we're going to flip it as well, because it's less than. Okay. So I have A minus 2. So I know that I'm subtracting. I went ahead and flipped it. Okay. Here's where I want you to notice that it definitely matters if you flip it or not. Because this is correct. So say that the athlete ran 3 miles. So if I wanted to figure out the answer, I'd have 3 minus 2, which gives me what? 1. If I did not flip it, that means that my equation would have been 2 minus A, right? If I plug that 3 back in for A, does it give me the same answer? It gives me -1, which is totally different. So that's why it is very important that when you are subtracting, you do remember to flip it. Okay? So this is wrong. Okay. Doesn't matter. You don't have to. I'm just explaining why it matters that you do flip it around. Okay. Questions on that? Okay, last example. 5 points more than the points scored by field goals if each field goal is worth 3 points. So I know we already have 5 points on the scoreboard. My kicker is going to kick some field goals, and we know that each field goal is going to be worth 3 points. But do we know how many field goals he's kicking?
No.
We don't know how many field goals he's kicking, so that's going to become a variable. So I just let N be that. You could have used F or G, whatever you want, okay? So my variable N is standing for the number of field goals. We do know how much each field goal is worth. I couldn't think of the word. So we know that they're all worth 3 points each. So if I multiply 3 times N, that's going to give me the amount of points earned by kicking those field goals, okay? And then we can't forget to add that 5 back into it. What's another way I could write this? Because of that more than? 3N plus 5. Any questions on that? Okay. I've written some of the work down here at the bottom. I want you to all cross out number 31 because we are not going to do 31. I have a worksheet for you to do first. So I'm going to pass out the worksheet. I want you to do that first, and then once you finish the worksheet, you can go grab a purple book and get started on this. Okay? Yes, sir. No, keep it because